How is it that we are able to consistently pull ourselves back from negative positions, as you can see in many games where we are in losing positions and we're able to pull ourselves back into winning positions? Now today we're going to be teaching you how you can do this yourself. If you're someone who finds yourself in losing positions often and you don't know what to do, you don't know where to turn to, you don't know where to go, today's video is going to show you a great formation which I believe to be a secret formation that not a lot of people are using, but is something that is extremely powerful and extremely good in turning losing positions into winning positions. Hey guys, welcome back to a FIFA 21 formation guide. Now today we're going to be showing you that exact formation and the exact tactics and instructions to go along with it, because it for me is my favorite formation that I've come to love in the last couple of weeks. Without wasting any more time, it is this 4-4-1-1 formation. Now this is one of my favorite formations in the game, and it's always my go-to formation whenever I'm behind in a game and I need to pull a lead back. This is the formation that I turn to. So now, why is this formation so good? Now this formation is so good for many reasons. Much like the 4-2-3-1 narrow formation, it is very good everywhere. It doesn't really have any weakness because it has a good solid back four, it has a compact midfield, it has width, and it has two strikers. It is a very good formation. It doesn't really have those weaknesses that we talked about. It's very good all over the pitch. Now starting off, I want to start off with that midfield and those wingers. Now interestingly, with those midfielders and wingers, there is a lot of compactness in this formation. It is a very difficult formation to break down. Given the tactics and instructions that we will apply to this formation as well, it is a very tough formation to break down. Just because it is tough to break down, that doesn't mean it is difficult to score and create chances. As you saw in many of those clips, we were behind in games and still managed to turn around those losing positions, sometimes 1, 2, sometimes even 3 goals, turn those deficits around into victories. So it's a very good formation for attacking, not just defending. And the reason why that is because it is compact and there are lots of great easy passes that you can make. The links between your left back, left mid, left centre mid, right back, right mid and right centre mid, and also in between those two central midfielders and the centre forward, and then the centre forward is allowed to link up with the striker as well. And the instructions that we have allow those left and right midfielders not just to be passengers, but actually to get involved in the game and create opportunities as well. So moving forwards into the instructions, goalkeeper, we have got comes for crosses and sweeper keeper. Now sweeper keeper is a must in the formation. Now for me personally, not just this formation, but any formation, sweeper keeper is the way to go. However, this year I don't think it is as powerful as it was last year, as your keeper doesn't seem to really ever come out too often. So you have to really control him yourself. Using the Y button, you're able to bring him out yourself. Sometimes you can pump fake, and that just kind of makes the opponent's mind up for you. Sometimes if you pump fake, you bring him out and then bring him back, it can make up the opponent's mind. But the keeper manually is something that is very effective, but the AI doesn't seem to really use it. So it's really key to use the keeper manually yourself this year. Moving into the fullback positions, we have got them on balance. Now this is something that is very optional. This depends on how you like to play yourself. If you're somebody who maybe struggles a little bit defensively, maybe you're really leaky, you give up lots of chances, then absolutely I would recommend having these guys on stay back while attacking. It would be much more important for you to have these guys on those positions if you struggle. However, if you're like me and you like to play a little bit more attacking and get the best out of this formation, remembering this is a formation that you are using to try and get back into a game, not just necessarily get back into a game, even if you want to get in front in a game, this is a great formation to use. If you want to play a little bit more on the front foot, balanced attack is the way to go. Now the people you have in these areas are very important. You do need to have very pacey players. You'd like to have players that have got good stamina as well. That is very important. Also look to have good passing in the short passing and vision, because they're going to get involved a lot in the final third, kind of in those important areas. So you don't want them to be turning the ball over because they've got bad passing stats. Now then, moving on to the two central midfielders. Now for me personally, I have them on stay back while attacking. Now this is purely because I have the fullbacks on balance. If you're somebody who plays with your fullbacks on stay back while attacking, you then want to change these two midfielders to balanced attack, because you then don't need them staying back. You then can have them going forwards. But if you are like us and you have your fullbacks on balance, you do want to have these guys staying back and just providing a little bit more cover. Stay on edge of the box. We don't really like these guys to get into the box, because if these guys are getting into the box as well as all the other players we have getting forwards, you're just going to have too many players getting into the box, and you're going to have no one sort of on the edge of the box there to just prepare in case there's a counter attack, because sometimes won't always, be successful in your attack. So you're going to need some players at the edge of the box just to be able to, at the very least, slow the counter attack down. These guys are getting into the box. There's no one there to stop the counter attack, and it's going to become a very overpowered method for your opponents. Now, moving into the wide positions. Now, the wide players that we've got Dybala and Eriksen. I've got them on cut inside, get in behind, and get into the box. Now, I don't mind these guys getting into the box, because you do need some players getting into the box. And that is one of the ways that you do get these wide midfielders involved, because typically in FIFA's past, left and right midfielders have been a little bit of a passenger and very difficult to get involved. Having these guys on get into the box is going to get them into the right positions that they need to be. They're going to be in the dangerous positions to potentially score goals. We also have them on, more importantly, on cut inside. This is probably the most important thing regarding getting these wide players involved. You need them on cut inside, because if you have them on balanced width, going to be times where they're just going to be stood out on the wing, not really getting involved. And you've already got plenty of width because of our fullbacks that are on balance. On this right hand side, for example, Hakimi is on balance and overlap, so he is bombing up and down the touchline. So you've already got Hakimi, who is the wide threat in this team. So Eriksen now, we can afford to have him on cut inside, and that also skirts around his lack of pace. So you don't have to have the quickest players in this formation, because he's going to be drifting infield. Infield is going to be a little bit more crowded, so you do need those more technical players. So cut inside is effective, especially if you've got your fullbacks on balance. And the getting behind is just in case, you do want to have, when you do sub on certain players, like for example me, I've got Inform Orsic that I sub on. So putting him into that right mid slot just allows that getting behind to work effectively for him as well. Now, the centre forward and the striker, we have both got on stay central and getting behind. The stay central is, again, mainly because we have Sandro and Hakimi who are providing the width. So they're going to be bombing up and down on the width. So we already have players out there. And sometimes you will find those wide players, even though we've got them on cut inside, there will be a few occasions where they will be in wider positions, because they naturally might be drifting out from coming back in. So these guys, so we've already got plenty of width in the team, so we want these guys in between the sticks. We don't need them drifting out as well. We want them in the danger area. We want them to utilize that finishing that they've got, and we want them in those dangerous positions to score goals. So now skirting across to the tactics, I've got the defensive style on balance. As I mentioned in a previous video, if you're going to play with your fullbacks on a balanced position, it is very, very unlikely that you're going to want to play them on a press as well, because that is just going to make your team a little bit too open. Regardless of how you set your team up instruction wise, it's just going to mean your press on possession loss does always ignore your instructions for those 7 seconds. Your players just go in and they go man mark for 7 seconds. So regardless of how you have your instructions set, you have them on balance, it really is not a good idea to play on a press. So for me, I've started to use balance, and I've started to have a little bit more success defensively, not being as open as I was before. Defensively, in terms of width, I do want to be slightly narrower. I would rather give up a little bit more width, because it's much less likely that somebody is going to score on you out wide. Obviously, there is a very overpowered crossing method this year, which you can concede from, but that is something that is very rare, that you only really see at the top level in FIFA. If you're someone who plays in Division 1 or 2 like myself, something you don't really come across until those areas of the game. Depth wise, I decided to go with 5. I didn't want to go too narrow, too low or too high, because depth is important when you're talking about trying to be on the front foot. It's always good to be somewhere in the middle. You don't want to be super defensive. You don't want to be super offensive and crazy either. The last 2 things to really note about these tactics is we go for long ball. For me, this is my go-to. This is my bread and butter when it comes to offensive style. When I'm testing formations, I always start with long ball. Just think, especially if you've got quick players in your team. We've got Immobile, we have got Martinez, who you might not think are super quick, but we do have the right chemistry styles that do make them fast. And long ball is just a tactic that I just love using. I just find that it is super, super effective. Always does a great job for me. In terms of offensive width, last but not least, we've got them on a 6th width. I do like to have a little bit more width in the offense. again, it's not a massive change from sort of 4 or 5, but I just find it is an extremely effective in just finding those little spaces, especially some of those wide midfielders that do cut inside. They just find themselves in really difficult places. It just makes it very, very difficult for your opponent to get involved, try and stop those players. But this formation is absolutely deadly. If you're someone who is struggling in game, maybe you're just looking for the right formation for yourself to use, this is absolutely one to go with. It is an incredible formation. I'm surprised more people don't use it, because it is a sensational formation and it is on a par with that 4-2-3-1 narrow. So it's definitely something, if you want to use, go out and try it, because it is amazing. So if you did enjoy this formation guide, let me know how this goes in the comment section below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you do enjoy the content and would like to see more. Make sure you follow us on Twitter as well if you have any questions you'd like to ask us over there. That is all for today, guys. Have an awesome day. I'm out.